4. Abraham's death and his descendants. Abraham took another wife named Keturah, had 6 more kids. Abraham gave all he had to Isaac, but to the other children he gave gifts. Abraham dies at age 175, and he gets buried with Sarah. The birth of Esau and Jacob. Rebekah has twins. Esau is the first, and Jacob comes out holding onto his brother's heel. The first came out red. All his body was like a hairy cloak, so they called his name Esau. When the boys grew up, Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Esau sells his birthright. Once when Jacob was cooking stew, Esau came in from the field and he was exhausted. Esau says to Jacob, "Come," or he just says, "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted." Therefore his name was called Edom. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright now." Esau does, hence despising his birthright. God's promise to Isaac. Now there was a famine in the land. Isaac went to Gerar, the king of Abimelech of the Philistines. Lord appears to him, tells him, "Do not go down to Egypt, dwell in the land that I tell you, sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and I will bless you. For to you and to your offspring I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham your father." Isaac and Abimelech. So Isaac settled in Gerar, told the king Rebekah was his sister, for the same reasons Abraham did. The king finds out, tells everyone not to touch Rebekah or they're a dead man. Isaac is blessed by God and is having so much success in all his possession. The king says to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." So Isaac leaves, digs a well. The herdsmen of Gerar quarrel over it, so Isaac leaves it, digs another well. They quarrel over that one also, so Isaac leaves, digs a third well, and they did not quarrel over it. Then the king, his advisor, and his commander come to Isaac, made a sworn pact, treaty, because they see how the Lord was with Isaac. Esau is 45 years old and takes 2 Hittite women as wives and makes life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac blesses Jacob. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he calls for Esau to hunt food, prepare it so he can give him a blessing before he dies. Rebekah hears this, quickly tells Jacob to prepare 2 young goats and wear animal skins to feel like his brother Esau. Jacob goes in to meet Isaac and steals Esau's blessing. Esau comes back, finds out it's too late. Jacob deceived Isaac. Esau plans to comfort himself by killing Jacob. Rebekah hears of it, tells Jacob to hide out by living with her brother Laban, till Esau's anger turns away from him. So Jacob sent to Laban. Isaac blesses Jacob, tells him to go to Laban's and take for his wife one of his cousins. Esau marries an Ishmaelite. Esau goes to Ishmael, Isaac's brother, and takes a Canaanite woman for a wife, besides the one he already has, to displease his father. Jacob's dream. Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran. Takes a stone to lay his head. He has a dream of a ladder going up to heaven. Angels were ascending and descending on it. God talks to him. He awakes, takes the rock, pours oil on it, and calls the place Bethel. Jacob marries Leah and Rachel. Okay. Jacob heads east, finds a well with flocks of sheep. Rachel along with her sheep meet there. Jacob finds Rachel, stays with Laban, makes a deal to work for him for 7 years for Rachel as a wife. Laban deceives him, and one night gives Leah, the older sister, to him to go into. Jacob discovers that morning he spent that night with Leah instead of Rachel. Laban says, "Work for me 7 more years and you can have both my daughters as wives." So Jacob does. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. Jacob's children. Okay. Leah has the first child named Reuben. Leah has the second, Simon, and Levi and Judah. Rachel envies her sister, gets mad, tells Jacob to have children for her through Bilhah, her servant, on her behalf, gives Bilhah to Jacob as a wife. And Bilhah has a 5th child, that's Dan. Naphtali. Leah realizes she has seed-bearing children, gives her servant Zilpah to Jacob, and then Zilpah has 2 kids, Gad, Asher. Leah has Issachar. Leah has the 10th child named Zebulun. Leah has a daughter named Dinah. God remembered Rachel, opens her womb. Rachel has the 12th child named Joseph. Okay, Jacob's prosperity. Jacob asks Laban to send him away with his family to go back home. Laban says, "Name your wages." They make an agreement on what types of colors, stripes, spotted animals each is to keep. Laban gets his boys to remove the male goats that were striped and spotted, and the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it, every lamb that was black, and put a 3-day journey distance from Jacob. So Jacob starts tampering with the way the animals breed so that Laban would get the more feeble animals and Jacob the stronger. Okay, Jacob flees from Laban. 1 second. So Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, "Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has gained all his wealth." Jacob realizes Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Jacob conceives Leah and Rachel Jacob convinces Leah and Rachel to get the family, flock, possessions, and flee back to Canaan. It was told to Laban on the 3rd day they fled. Laban with his kinsmen pursue him for 7 days. They catch up to him. God tells Laban in a dream, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." They make a big heap of rocks. They make a covenant not to cross the heap of rocks to harm each other. Laban kisses his family goodbye. Jacob fears Esau. Jacob went on his way, and the angel of God met him, and Jacob saw them. Jacob sends a message and some animals to Esau. Messengers come back saying, "We are coming to see you with 400 men." Jacob divides the camp, prays to God, then sends droves of animals as gifts, hoping to win favor in his brother's eyes. Jacob wrestles with God. That same night, Jacob sends his camp across the ford of the Jabbok. He's alone and wrestles with the man all night. Jacob meets Esau. The man was God, pretty sure. Jacob meets Esau. Esau is coming with 400 men. Jacob divides up the camp. They become friends again. Jacob gifts Esau a large sum of possessions. Jacob builds a house and booths for his livestock in Succoth. Jacob comes to Canaan, buys property in the city of Shechem.